students. Once again I am here. In the same series we were discussing Mr. Frederick Winslow Taylor. Till now I have discussed with you all the major principles given by Mr. Taylor. Those are all scientific management principles. Today in this lecture we are going to start with major scientific management techniques given by Mr. Taylor. So in the sequence, the very first technique Mr. Taylor propounded was technique of functional foremanship. Now here you need to understand the word functional means the different functional area or the different major functional activities which are to be conducted in an organization. And foreman, the word foreman has come from one particular designation which is assigned to the lower level management. Taylor was of the belief that in any large size organization, in any military size organization where there are more than one particular function or functional areas of management are performed, in such area, division of work is required. Taylor has divided all these work into two major areas. He has divided any factory setup into planning as well as executive or execution area. You can also call that execution area as a production area. So Taylor suggested that there has to be a separation of planning activity as well as production or execution activity, which means one set of people along with the boss must be doing or following the planning work, those who are best suitable for the same, whereas the another set of people, those who are good into execution part or production part, must be appointed under that execution area. Taylor said that foreman is that important person around whom the entire shop floor system, the entire factory system operates. So it is very important while selecting the different foreman that certain set of qualities must be checked. If you remember, Taylor has already propounded this whole concept under one of his scientific management principles, that is development of each and every personnel to his or her greatest efficiency. He talked about that industrial efficiency is completely based upon individual competency, and here he kept the foremans under focus. He has said that foremen are those people who around him, they are the pivot, they are the center around whom the entire factory system, production, planning, controlling, staffing, organizing, everything revolves. So it is very important while selecting these one foreman, certain set of qualities has to be checked. A foreman must be a person of intelligence, a foreman must be a person of tact, must have the grit, honesty, a decision-making capacity, and can foresee the future scenario. So, and this is also a fact that all these qualities may not be found in one particular person. Therefore, he has come up with an idea that let us divide the entire organization into two major parts. The people who are technically good, those who are good in intellectual capacity, decision making and foresighting must be kept under planning department. Whereas the person, those who are good into production area, the good physical health and can take the pressure and have that decision to handle the production situation and mechanical skills can be kept under execution department. So which means the total organization, total factory setup has been split into two major departments, planning in charges and production in charges. And then planning department will again be split into four major foreman. Remember, these positions are the names given to the different foreman. So under planning department, he has suggested four major foreman named as instruction card clerk, route clerk, time and cost clerk, and disciplinarian. Similarly, he said that the next department, that is a production or execution department, will also comprise of four major foreman, that is speed boss, gang boss, repair boss, and inspector. Now remember why the word clerk and boss has been given. Clerks are those people who are into number work, who are into paperwork. So they are the people who have been kept as a clerk because they are into paperwork, they are into planning. Whereas the bosses are the one who has a full command over the real work environment. Therefore, the names bosses have been assigned to them. Now let us see what are the work of all of them. So if you see the instruction card clerk, what does he do? If you see the name suggests instruction card clerk, which means your work is to draft the instructions. So similarly, the instruction card clerk drafts the instructions for the worker. We know, if you remember the managerial hierarchy discussed, so foreman belongs to this level, lower level. Here comes the foreman, all 8 foremen comes here, and then under them who all are working? The workers are working. So similarly, this setup also gives you the idea. Under all those 8 foremen, there are a number of workers working, which means each one of them and guiding and instructing to these set of workers working under them. Hope I am able to make this idea very clear. Let's come back here again. Another person was route clerk. What is the work of route clerk? If you know the meaning of the word route. Route means step by step. Which step has to come first and which step has to come later. If you remember, Taylor is a person who has focused and consistently talked about one thing, that is scientific. Tell exactly what you want. So he has even made this idea clear. Tell your employee the process, the steps to be followed one after another. So the first person has drafted the instructions to be followed. The second person, that is route clerk, is drafting or will specify the routes. What will be the route of particular production? What will be the step of which steps to be followed under which after which another step? Time and cost clerk. Yes, we know that under management, efficiency and effectiveness is of most importance. So Taylor also suggested that there has to be a time and cost clerk. What will be the job of this time and cost clerk? This time and cost clerk will prepare a time and cost sheet. Remember, here is the estimation. They are providing us the estimated time to be taken to complete a work. Also, the estimated cost to be incurred for the final production of the given output. So they are preparing an estimation so that the final, when anybody will do controlling, the person, if you see time and cost has been controlled by your speed boss. So the work given by time and cost clerk will be maintained by speed boss, because here is the estimation and here is the real work taking place. So the speed boss is just doing controlling, matching the plans with the actual performance. Next, disciplinarian. The work of a disciplinarian is what? The disciplinarian ensures discipline at work, at the real workplace. It is very important to maintain a discipline. If you remember, Fuel also suggested principle of discipline, following rules and regulations. So whatever instructions has been set up has to be followed by worker, has to be taken care by worker seriously, has to be monitored by the disciplinarian. This is all about the planning area. So all these 4 planning people are instructing, guiding and commanding all the workers at a time. Remember, all of them are offering them the ways, not the means. They are just telling them what. Whereas these particular area will talk about how. Now, the speed boss. Speed boss was the next person. Speed boss's job was, just now I told you, whatever the time and cost clerk has decided as an estimation has to be checked by speed boss as a real time activity. Is that taking place in real time or not? Which means timely and accurately completion of given task. Talking about the gang boss. Gang boss is a person who makes the machine, material and the workplace ready for the workers for the operations. So if once the workers go back and next morning when they come back, so the entire setup has to be ready. The machine, tool, everything has to be on its place for the worker for ease of doing, so that they can quickly pick up their, without wasting a single minute, they should quickly pick up their equipment, the material required, and can get into production activity. The job of a repair boss is when you know that consistent use of machine or loose tools leads to a kind of normal wear and tear. So repairing of those normal wear and tear and those normal routine what you can say goof-ups and technical glitch in the machine has to be handled by the repair boss. So it is said that they ensure the wear and tear of the loose tools at the work area. Ultimately, the last person is an inspector. Inspector is a person who is overall in charge of the quality of the final output. Inspector is a person who checks. His job is to keep checking whether everybody, all the workers are following the given instructions given by two major departmental heads, and are they fulfilling it? Are the final output matching the standard? This is the job of inspector. This principle, this technique is based on one of the principle of fuel and also one of the principle of Taylor. So Taylor's principles are just now discussed. Development of each and every personnel to his or greatest efficiency, that is selecting the people to the best of the quality. One of the principle of fuel is also incorporated or extended in this, and that is division of work. Fuel principle under Taylor's technique is division of work. If you can see, the total organization hasn't split into two parts, planning and production. So till here it is division of work. But at the same time, this technique of Taylor violates one of the major principles given by Henry Fuel, and the principle was unity of command. What did Fuel said under unity of command? Fuel said that each and every subordinate must be guided and instructed by only and only one superior at a time. But Taylor here varies in an opinion, and he said that one person can't be master of all the trade. So for mastering a skill, mastering a factory system, we require more than one person and specialize them. So he has the element of specialization given, discussed under division of work. So he has divided the work. But then he has violated the same principle, because the worker, each worker in a real time is guided and instructed by 8 different foremen. So this same principle violates the principle of unity of command, but follows the principle of division of work. So hope I am successfully able to make the understanding of functional foremanship very, very clear to you all. The second major technique suggested by Mr. Taylor was standardization and simplification of work. Under this technique, Taylor has suggested two different terms. That is, the work given or assigned to the foreman must be standardized, also must be simplified, which means the organization must follow standardization as well as simplification as a tool. What was his idea behind standardization and simplification? According to Taylor, management or any organization, any factory system should simplify its entire process. Here simplification means eliminating the superfluous variety. The meaning of the word superfluous is extraordinary. Anything which is extraordinary in terms of production. Say, for example, if you see, there are companies which are producing unnecessary, useless size and variety of a particular product. Like, say for example, a product X which is coming in a pack sachet of 5 gram, 10 gram, 15 gram and 20 gram and then 500 gram and 100 gram, things like that. So if you go for these much of variety, that is unnecessary, superfluous addition of size or dimension or variety, will always and always reduce the inventory level, or you must say will always and always increase your cost and reduce your standard productivity. So Taylor was of the opinion that any organization must eliminate superfluous variety which are involved during production. Different size and dimensions of the same products should not be used. So his idea was to rectify or to eliminate the different or the unnecessary product ranges. So he talked about product range. The different range, unnecessary range of products has to be eliminated to simplify the process. If one follows simplification, what will be the advantage? Following simplification will reduce the requirement of inventory, which means you unnecessarily need not to maintain huge amount of inventory. At the same time, it will help to make the fuller utilization, optimum utilization of the available resources. It will also help you to save the cost of keeping inventory and cost of ordering inventory and reorder point cost, and there are different costs involved for store keeping of a particular inventory. So Taylor suggested that if we do not store unnecessary, if we avoid unnecessary size, or you can say product range, this will help us to minimize the requirement of inventory. Once the requirement of inventory will be reduced, definitely the resources available will be utilized to their fuller. This will also help to reduce or to save the cost of production, that is the different factor payments made to the different factors of production. Not only simplify, but also he suggests that do a standardization. For this standardization, Taylor has already propounded a technique called work study. So work study itself has a split into 4 major studies that we will be discussing later. So standardization was completely based upon one of the another technique given by Taylor, that is work study. Under standardization, Taylor said that it is a process of benchmarking. If you see, standard here simply means benchmark. To set up to a standard, to set up to a level to be reached by the different people involved therein. So Taylor said that one should always find out the best possible, not substandard, not overstandard, the best possible standard for every business activity, be it a process, time, raw material, machine, method, or working condition. Taylor said that one should follow standard, process, time, raw material, machine, method, and working condition. Each and every business activity has to have a standard. Then he has also said that these standards will help to avoid unnecessary product line. So here product range and product line, 2 new concepts have been introduced. Now product range is the same variety of the product, whereas product line is the different types of product of a same company. So Taylor has suggested at a nascent stage, both should be avoided. Follow a standard thing. Why? Because if you follow a standard time, process, material, machine, and working condition, how will it help? It will fulfill certain major objectives. Like, number 1, it will first of all reduce the unnecessary product line, which will help you to save the unnecessary types, feature, advertisements, and cost involved. B, this will also help you to establish a quality of material of different output, which means you can keep a check of the quality of input and output at the same time. He has also said that this will help interchangeability of manufactured parts and products. Now this is the something which is most important, which is asked in the examination many a time. Interchangeability. Suppose, if, let us take a very easy example. In your home, there are 4 rooms, and if each room has a different design, have a different electricity connection. Suppose one bulb or tube light gets fused. Now if you want to replace it with any other room's tube light or bulb, but you find that as the different style of connection, different design of products have been used, different holders have been used, so you are unable to interchange those products which are getting collapsed with those ones which are working. Why? Because of not following standards, because of not following uniformity in the work. So Taylor was of the opinion that maintain a uniformity, maintain a standard in all those different working style. This will help you. If one production unit may not be able to work sufficiently, it will help the management to shift the excess production to the deficit production unit very easily, and there will be no change in the final output because all the different production units are following standardization, principle of standardization, that is standard, process, time, raw material, machine, method, and working condition. So this was all about standardization and simplification. The next technique used by or propounded by Mr. Taylor was differential piece wage system. As if you see the name suggested, this was a technique used for the payment of or the remuneration of different workers. Taylor was of the opinion that money is the strongest motivator. It can motivate anybody. And as per Taylor, if somebody is rewarded in terms of money for the better work done, this will definitely work as a motivator for rest of the other employees working in the same potential. Under this technique, Taylor has differentiated between efficient as well as inefficient employees. Taylor suggested that let us divide the work by following the technique of standardization, that is, fix up a standard output to be produced. Also, he has said that set up two different wage rates. One is for achieving the standard or other is for non-achieving the standard, which means there are two kinds of employee in an organization. One is the efficient employee, another is an inefficient employee. Efficient employee is the one who achieves the standard output in the given time, whereas inefficient employee is the one who is not able to achieve the standard output in the given time. Taylor was of the opinion that if we use two different wage rate, this will help us to motivate the people in the given time. We can understand his whole idea, his entire compared performance scheme using one example, because he has also said that these efficiency and inefficiency will be completely based upon the kind of performance shown by the employee. So it is very important to, before remunerate them, check their performance or compare their performance with the function of controlling. So let us take an example that there is a company, Gupta Limited, which has given or decided that 2 rupees will be given to the employees, those who are producing 50 units in a day. This makes the standard wage rate and standard output. This is for the efficient employee. And if not, if produced less than that, then 1.5 rupees per unit will be paid. That is, this wage rate is for the inefficient employees, those who will not be able to achieve the target. Let us understand this with this in chart. Let us suppose that there are two workers, M and N. So if you see the standard output remain the same, 50 units for both of them. M is able to achieve 40 units successfully, which means M is achieving less than the standard output. So M becomes inefficient. See the example of N. N is producing 60 units, that is more than standard output, which means he is able to meet the standards very, very easily. So in this case, he will be still paid with the rate of rupees 2. This makes a difference of just half. Just by producing 10 extra or 10 less unit, the difference in the reward or in the money is just double. This scene will work as a strongest motivator for the rest of the employees working in the organization. But for doing this, he has suggested that it is very important to set up a standard output first, set up two different wage rates. One is for the efficient employee and one is for the inefficient employee. Also set up the standard time by following the principle of standardization, or you can say by following the technique of standardization. So differential piece wage system also incorporate the technique of standardization in itself. I would like to discuss one major limitation of this technique, although it is beyond the scope of syllabus, but here I would go some extra mile to enhance your knowledge. Taylorism, after this approach, after this concept, has suffered from severe criticism. And the criticism was, Taylor did not talk about the super efficient employees, which means if you see the same situation, that N was able to produce more than the standard output, which means N is one of the super efficient employee, which means for him the target of 50 unit in a day is one of the easiest one. So there is nothing to, he did not talk about any extra leeway, any extra icing on the cake for those employees, those who are super efficient. So this was one of the severe drawback of this one technique propounded by Taylor.